It's Tom Stoukas coming to you from Sarnia, Ontario, tonight, Monday, September 22nd. Hope everybody had a nice weekend. I'm gonna talk about a local story. I try to talk about the local stories in the broader issues, but also from a local perspective. So I saw in Sarnia, hold on, we had our a little incident at the high school, one of the high schools here. I guess an Indian guy, was caught at the high school doing some stuff with the girls. I'm going to read the police report, and there was kind of a lot of debate in the community saying, oh, obviously unacceptable behavior, but some people saying deport, get rid of these guys, and others are like, oh, it's just one guy, it doesn't represent the whole community. So I've been saying for a long time that at the rate we're going, Sarnia might not be at that point, but the way the GTA is going and surrounding area, it's just a matter of time before it's not just we're outnumbered by Indians, but it is India. Like, that's what you're living in, is you're living in India. And it's not good. And the question is this incident that happened at the high school, is it just a anomaly? Or is it a sign of things to come? Because, if you look in Europe, I don't think we're at Europe levels yet, but if you look at Europe, there's just rapes are off the chart. Sweden, Norway, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, UK. And it's not just that. Even if you don't get raped, the women are afraid to go out on their own streets. And, we don't want that coming here. And it's hard to say. I think Sarnia hasn't really gotten yet. I think GTA's full, and it's expanding out to Milton and Kitchener, and then next it'll be London, and then Sarnia, Windsor, the next wave. But yeah, I just don't want to live in India. Okay, sorry. And people don't understand that. They don't get the concept. Okay, it's pretty simple concept. But it's fucked up. I'm not gonna lie, it's fucked up. I know exactly what's going on. I've seen this a million times. Is Indian dudes, they love white chicks. They're fascinated by white chicks. You see them, they take selfies. If they see a white chick, they're all taking selfies with her, like a pretty white girl. So the guy, he probably lives right by the high school. And that's another thing. The cops, they put the street where he lives, which is very weird. Usually they just say so-and-so from Sarnia. They don't say so-and-so from Sarnia who lives on this street. So I thought that was interesting. But, yeah, they love doing that. I don't know why. And the bottom line is, the more that you bring in, the more likely it is to happen. Whether it's at the beach or it's whether it's anywhere, pool, high school. It's so look at that, I guess. And obviously, it's not just Indians. A white dude could have been lurking out of the high school and pulling the same stuff, but obviously he would have been run out of town. That's how we deal with it. But I don't know, they got kind of a rapey culture in India. It's well documented, so I'd rather, keep on top of this. It's not a good, once you get down that road, Like I said, look at the UK. I don't think they can come back. I think they've been over. Things are so bad there. And then just we'll go through the I'm sure the whole file of goings on further outside of Sarnia. Some interesting stuff I saw. Also, the big news on the international is Canada recognized a Palestinian state. Mark Carney did. And I couldn't care less if he does that, because really at the end of the day, Canada doesn't control anything. Like what we say, they're not going to take into consideration at all. So I'm not that worried about it. I can criticize Carney on so many other things. This is the last thing I really care about. But I think it's funny every time this stuff like this happens, the conservatives, all the conservatives from the Conservative Party, plus all their supporters on X, get all outraged how he's supporting the Hamas and all this. And especially the Conservative Party, I always say, why didn't you have this outrage during COVID? You didn't. You didn't say shit. Why didn't you have this outrage when they were filling the country? Mass immigration replacing Canadians. You didn't say shit. But when something little like this goes against Israel, they lose their minds. I hate it. But what can you do? Just got to talk, say how you feel. And Israel is not really our ally when you think about it. Like, they use our passports for their spy agency. They actually killed a Canadian soldier in Lebanon, and they knew he was there. They didn't care. And they, we got hundreds of thousands of Muslims in Canada because of wars fought over there. Whether it's from Iraq, Lebanon, Syria, Palestinian territories. They bomb them and then we take them. So, not much of an ally, but the Conservative Party, they just jump on their knees for them, like do their talking points, how great an ally they are. So, I thought that was funny. I hate when that happens because they should be focusing on like the issues facing Canada, not the issues facing Israel. But Israel gets annoyed when countries support Palestinian statehood or whatever. So they expect all their shills to say the lines how Israel's the greatest ally. So, but yeah, the Conservative Party didn't say shit as Canada's getting destroyed, but they're right there for Israel. So that's got to change. That's my point. My whole point. Canada's not going to be rescued by this Conservative Party if they have Israel first, Canada second policy. And by the way, Israel, they love that the Hindus come to Canada. They love that. They hate Hindus, don't like Muslims, so that's a bonus. And they support Israel all the time. So we got, not our greatest ally is all I'm saying. But Pierre loves them. Loves Netanyahu. And then not only that, they're killing tens of thousands of people. It's disgusting, really. And that's enough to just not even support them. Not the fact that they work against Canada's interests, but they're like killing tens of thousands of people. And they're probably going to kill a bunch more soon, very soon. So yeah, I think I always hate conservative voices that show more concern for Israel than they do Canada. Like, I know the Liberals, all they care about is votes and their I can't stand them either, but if we're going to have a party that's going to fix things, you got to put Canada first, not Israel. All right. And then we got bad enough, we got, like, this is the big problem. The Liberals want to put in this new hate crime law. And no doubt it'll be the first of other hate crime laws they want to get once they get this passed. So instead of going all in against something like this, they're worried about Israel. So we'll look at that. So that's That's my opinions on things. We got to worry about Canada. We got too many traitors. And like I said, I think the Conservatives are just like a pressure valve. It's just enough a party for us to bitch about what we don't like, but then they don't do anything. And people are seeing through that. And if they don't change, if they don't go crazy anti-immigrant, when I say anti-immigrant, I mean anti-globalist, third world, mass migration replacement immigrant. If they don't go hardcore, someone's going to come and take their place. Very quick. It's happened in the UK. I don't know if it'll be successful, but it's the Conservative Party in the UK is dead. If you look in the UK, it's dead. They got some. It's weird. They got some black lady running. Nobody has heard of her. Kemi Bessonnet, whatever. Her name's Kemi something. The party is dead, and that's going to happen to the Conservative Party. If they're not already dead, it will happen. If they don't go hardcore. All right. Let's see this here. Hold on. Okay. I want to go to the first, this incident in my hometown of Sarnia. And it's kind of like, you see it in Toronto, the sexual assaults and the perv attacks in Toronto for these Indian dudes. But to see it in Sarnia, it's kind of, it's horrible, obviously, because I have kids in school in that area of the city. Horrible. So you see it in Toronto, but to see it in Sarnia is quite different. Okay, I just want to find it. Some of the comments are pretty funny. Well, not funny, but so this is the dude. Let's read the Sarnia police report here. On September 15th, 2025, so a week ago, Sarnia police received complaints regarding a male who began showing up in the vicinity of a North End high school, not on the property. This male had been approaching female teens, initiating unsolicited and inappropriate conversations, i.e. drugs and alcohol, including asking them to pose for pictures, selfies. They love the selfies with the white chicks. I don't know why they do that. Okay. The investigation revealed that in a short period of time, he continued to frequent the area, with the boldness of his interactions growing to include following female students as they left the school property. Okay. See, this is normal in India. This is normal. Like, women can't go out without being molested, basically. So let's normalize this. On one occasion, the male intentionally groped one of the students, a female youth, who subsequently made a complaint to police through the school administration. On September 16th, the Sarnia Police Criminal Investigations Division successfully identified the male and arrested him. Jaggeet Singh. I'm shocked. That is name. I shouldn't. I'm not laughing. It's a serious matter. 51 years old, my age, of Manhattan Drive in Sarnia, was held for bail. So they put the street name in there, which is very. I see police releases from Sarnia all the time, and they very rarely. I don't think they ever put the street address of the. They just say so and so from Sarnia, or of no fixed address. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they put this. I don't remember seeing the street. Anyway, I thought that was funny. Anyway, apparently he's out on bail, and he's supposed to go to court in November, from what I understand. So that'll probably get remanded. So he'll be in the court system for a few years. The question is, will he be back at the schools? And, guys like this, if he's pretty persistent, maybe he's got some mental issues, I don't know. But usually guys like this, if you leave them out, they'll try it again. I don't know. I can't see him trying it again. If Sarnia's not a big city, so people are gonna be on the lookout for him. So I hope he doesn't try it again. But he'll probably just get a slap on the wrist. So let's look at some of the comments. Why not? I was reading the comments on another post about this earlier. Apparently last year at the high school prom, pictures at the Blue Water Bridge, a group of Indian men were taking pictures of all the girls. Yeah, that's what we want to grow up in, it looks like. That's what we're going to have to live in if things keep going the way they are. Like, girls will we'll have to put up with that, I guess. I'm against that. I think we should probably nip that in the bud for the girls' sake, for the women's sake. And I said this will only get worse as more arrive in Sarnia. Like I said, I don't think we've gotten really the big wave yet. I think Kitchener's getting a bunch, because Kitchener's not far from Toronto. Sarnia is a little bit of a hike. Only get worse as more arrive in Sarnia. Worried about the Great Lakes being trash. If they fill their holy rivers in India with trash, what will they do here? Yes, the Great Lakes. Betty Ingles, as far as it goes, fear causes violence in so many ways. Right or not right, the individual does need a hefty fine, jail time, or go home. As for sexual assault, persons need to be a color or a symbol to be recognized as a bad soul. I don't know what that means. What's this? Okay, so this person's saying he was out on bail and has an upcoming date in November. So now all the parents are all worried, which they should be, We'll keep an eye out, but what if you're not home? I mean, what if you're not at school? What if he's there when, after you drop him off, right? Kind of annoying. I would hope he's on an order to stay away from schools. You would hope. Deport immediately, no questions asked. Okay. View one reply. And then Michelin Steele. This is an individual. He does not represent an entire group of people. The type of statements made here are harmful to real people who are no different to those here. And I said, India has a very rapey culture that treats women horribly. This is the last thing we need to be bringing to Canada. So yeah, spare us the bleeding heart about, they're not all like that. I'm sure they're not all like that, but we keep the rapey culture in India. And then she's like, do you have any relationships with people from India? Though I haven't had any good experiences, I'll tell you. Your generalizations are unfair. India has a population of 1.4 billion people. Each is an individual and deserves to be treated as such, like you and I. Yeah, no, they're not Canadian, so no. Also, 1.4 billion, that's a lot of people. That's an endless amount of people to come to Canada. And, apparently there's more Indians in India than there are white people in the whole world. That's a fact. So, yeah. Okay. Not hard to find his house. Guy deserves something. Yeah, I'm surprised the cops put his address, especially with something like this, like where you have the ethnic, racial overtones, plus you have the sexual assault, which is, a hot button thing on its own. Like, I think even if it was a white dude, if they put his street address, it'd be the equally dangerous for him than as an Indian. Like, so I'm surprised they put his address. I'm not against it, but I'm surprised. Okay. Hold the individual accountable for his action, not an entire ethnic group. This endangers others. Yeah, okay. Unfortunately, rape is barely a crime in India, so a lot of men arrive with that mentality and are taught no different. Maybe some entrance education on our values would be a start. Yeah. Take an online course. Catch and release, usual suspect. Wonder where he works, his poor family. So yeah, we'll follow this guy's case, see if he pops up again. But yeah, I mean, this is what I've been talking about. And I thought maybe I'm being paranoid. Maybe I'm being a little hard on the Indian population. And then stuff like this happens right in Sarnia. Like it's pretty gross when you read the press release. So hopefully it's an anomaly. I don't think it will be. We'll find out. Obviously, I hope I'm wrong. All right. Let's go to the X feed for the day. It's weird, man. It's weird times. It's time, but it's weird. There's something in the air. I haven't slept normal in the last 3 days. So this is Bill C9, Combating Hate. This is the new C9 hate crime bill that our idiot new justice minister is trying to put through, which will probably go through because the NDP will vote for it. Basically, it says, like, let's say it deals with, it's not online stuff. It's protests, like in-person protests, and saying if you're trying to block a synagogue or threaten people going to a synagogue or a Jewish center or a mosque, they can add an extra crime as hate or motivated. Or if you're holding a sign. This is what bugs me, is the signage. Because people hold up crazy signs all the time at protests. So they can basically say, oh, that's a hate sign, and charge you. Also, another thing about very vague terms about hatred against just all sorts of ambiguous things. But the one is selective and like they can do, like, let's say you criticize a certain group. So let's say Tom here criticizes Indians, mass immigration of Indians to Canada. I could say, hey, that's a hate crime against Indians as a group. So you can see where that goes, these hate crime laws. I think anything hate crime laws should be totally voted against. And like I said, we're talking about the conservatives voting for Israel all the time, or, standing to attention for Israel. But something like this is coming up, and they should be fighting tooth and nail against something like this if they really care about the country. Because this is the first step. They'll pass this, and then they'll go for the online is their next one. I don't think they want to go do them both at the same time. But yeah, conservatives, I don't even think Pierre said anything about this, to be honest. I honestly don't think he said anything. But basically, the government will decide what's hate, especially at protests. So like the convoy, the Freedom Convoy, they would have tried to do if they would have had this hate crime stuff. If they would have had this hate crime stuff legislation, they probably would have used it then. So, yeah. But yeah, conservatives are worried about Israel, our best ally, instead of what's going on here. Like we already know the liberals are horrible, they're evil. But any hope of the Conservative Party reversing any of that is basically zero, because they're part of the uniparty group. They're not doing anything to help. There's Tucker at the Charlie Kirk thing. He was pretty good. This one's a good one. Restaurant industry cracking under weight of brutal equation. Fewer diners, double-digit cost spikes in food, labor, and insurance. 41% of restaurants already at break-even or loss. I used to have a restaurant during COVID, so yeah. Just when the COVID restrictions left, like after the convoy, it was like almost right away inflation. Like prices of everything was doubling or going up like by 10, 15, 20, 25%. So I can see how they're having problems. And then the minimum wage keeps going up. And then the price of the menus are going up, like menu prices. So people are broke. And this is a kind of a sign. Usually restaurant spending is the first sign of like a good downturn, because the discretionary spending of restaurants is, usually that's the first thing you cut when you're broke. But also, I'm broke. Like I can't go. I could probably go out once in a while to eat, but I can't. I don't want to spend that kind of money. It's huge money. Like you got to spend like $100 just for two people sometimes to get a good meal in a good place. But it's not just that. I don't go out because I don't trust the staff. Like they got all these Indian dudes working, which, and I don't want to get hepatitis A or anything, but the let's just say the quality of the service has gone down, and you hear a lot of people say that, and they don't want to pay top dollar if they're not going to get that service, so they'd rather stay home. So I think the solution is close a bunch of restaurants, like these franchise restaurants. They're all full of Indian workers, so you deport them, close the restaurants, and then get rid of all these Uber or skip the dish drivers too, and then have whatever the independent restaurants thrive like it should, like in the olden days. But yeah, it's hard to go out and spend big money for a crappier product. But support your independent restaurants, what I say. Okay. But yeah, there's way too many fast food restaurants anyway. Half of them could go away tomorrow if you deported the staff, so you wouldn't have all these unemployed people. Then you'd probably be better off as a country, probably healthier. A lot of that food's garbage anyway. Here's a comment on the hate crime bill. Hate crime bill is anti-white and will be weaponized against founding descendant ethnic European Canadians for simply voicing their opinions and concerns in their own country. So, hate crime bill could criminalize protests, civil liberties group says. Yeah, definitely. Like, when they say hate crime against certain groups, of ethnic groups, I know what they're talking about. They're talking about guys like me saying we don't want to turn into India. We don't want millions of Indians flooding into Canada. And they're going to say, oh, you're targeting an Indian, the group, as a group. And they'll do that for other groups too, but it's just bad. Here's this. A lot of India fatigue in the States too, I thought. That came out of nowhere. Here's this. India is a shithole. If you'd like to contact my employer, you can leave me a comment in here because I'm self-employed. If you'd like me to get kicked out of my place of living, you can also leave me a comment here because I own the place. Yeah, a lot of Indians are trying to dox people like who are anti-Indian. Like, I haven't had any problem. I guess I don't have enough followers. But yeah, they like to threaten. They like to make threats. So imagine if they're threatening you like that for being anti-Indian on X. Imagine what they do when you're their majority here. They won't just threaten you. Okay. And while they're flooding the country, they're trying to take our firearms away, or firearms from legal gun owners. That's bullshit. Don't surrender your firearm to criminally insane, malevolent government. Yes. I don't know. They should worry about the gangbangers shooting up Toronto than the legal gun owners. Okay. This is an interesting story. Like I was talking about, Kitchener's turning into, like it's getting the waves from Toronto. Milton, Guelph, Kitchener. It's not that far. It's kind of like an area in itself. And I saw this. It's getting a lot of play today on the X. So it's from the Rustic Oven in the Waterloo region, so Kitchener. Hey everyone, does anyone know who this man? Does anyone know who this man is? He left today with $120 worth of baked goods and 3 cartons of eggs and forgot to pay. He was driving a large Lincoln. To all of you who support me and continue to support me, thank you so much. It means the world to me, and I love getting to run into all of you, and I'm reloading my stand. I try not to let things like this discourage me, but when you put all your time and energy into making everything, it's very upsetting and disappointing being taken advantage of. I do this with love and care so others can enjoy. So basically, what he did here is, if you drive around in Ontario, I'm sure it's the same in the States and Europe. Well, maybe, I don't know. But in Ontario, especially in the more of the rural areas, further away from the cities, in the roads, you'll drive by farms and you'll see a stand. It'll have like firewood, some of them. It'll have pumpkins. It'll have whatever. And sometimes there's somebody there. Most of the time there isn't. And you stop and you grab something and you put the money into the whatever. It's called the honor system. And I don't know how long the honor system's going to last. I actually had an experience with this. I was going to a zoo out in the middle of nowhere with the kids, and we passed a stand, and it had some interest. It looked cool, actually. And I could tell it was like unmanned. It was just put money in the thing, but I didn't have any cash on me. I was like, damn, if I had like $30 or $20 on me, I'd stop and get $20 worth of stuff. But I didn't have it, so I kept going. Concept. Crazy, I know. So the point is this just a one-off, or is this a sign of the culture that is going to be Canada in 10, 20, 15 years? Because it's horrible. Like, a lot of people are upset about it. It is, because you ruin the trust in the society. You ruin the society itself. It's horrible. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is. And this kind of reminds me of the food banks too, because remember hello, whoever this is, Aaron. So it kind of reminds me of the food banks, because remember the food banks were saying, oh, it's all Indian students getting food. It's because they were doing videos saying, oh, this is how you get free food in Canada. So it's kind of they probably said, hey, I passed a thing on the road and there was food there. Okay. So they probably told them, you guys should go get some food. Same as the food banks, basically. Here's a comment here. This is funny. In this Trump admin, I wanted book burnings, border wall, jackbooted, secret police, goose-stepping parades, glass collaboration. Instead, I got hate speech, Antifa, terrorists, Israel first, Epstein cover-up, and Tylenol causes autism. Why? Yeah, we didn't get what we wanted. It's the same in Canada. We're just getting hate speech and cover-ups of all sorts. So, all right, next. All right. Here's Daniel Thierry. I will not be distracted from putting Canada first. Gets distracted before the end of the tweet. Yeah, this is Pierre talking about Carney's decision to recognize the Palestinian state. Okay. He's recognizing the Hamas state in another effort to distract from his record of rampant crime, cost, debt, and immigration and job loss. As he distracts abroad, conservatives are working at home. Are they? Our priority is to put Canada first. restoring stronger take-home pay, safer streets, and secure borders within a self-reliant country. Like, it's all slogans with this guy. Prime Minister Mark Carney's priority is creating a Hamas state that will reward terrorists for raping civilians, taking hostages, oppressing Palestinians, and launching a war. So he sounds like he got his talking points from Benjamin Netanyahu. Like, come on. I wish he would talk this passionately about the hate speech legislation that the liberals are trying to get through. I don't think he's, like I said, I don't think he's mentioned it. Conservatives will always stand for Israel's right to exist and defend itself, living next to a future demilitarized, terror-free, democratic, and peaceful Palestinian state. That'll never happen, so that's why he said that. Terror-free. All they have to do is say, terrorist. Conservatives will focus on what is good for Canada because it's time to put our country first for a change. So it's a weird message he put in. He was basically did all the talking points for Israel, and then he said, we're going to work out for Canada. But he's not saying anything about this hate crime legislation. So, but a lot of conservative influencers are all showing a lot of outrage for something that I couldn't really give a shit about, like as far as Canada's concerned. I just don't want no. I'm tired of Israel sending us refugees here. Didn't we just get like 40,000 Syrians not too long ago? Okay. Here's Ben Mulrooney getting all riled up. I have never felt so disconnected from a policy that I would literally say this government does not speak for me. Let's see him. Hold on.
In my entire... We're waking up to a new week where Canada has recognized a new colleague in the community of nations, and that is the nation of Palestine. And look, I need to say this. In my entire life, I have disagreed vociferously with a number of Canadian government policies. I have never felt so disconnected from a policy that I would...
Oh. Sorry, my audio's having a problem here.
Literally say, this government does not speak for me. You do not speak for me. This is not what I stand for. This is not a Canada that I recognize with a Z. And I refuse to own this decision. I've never said that before, and I'm saying it on this front. I am not saying I don't believe in a two-state...
He's never said that before. So he's never said anything like, oh, this policy doesn't speak for me. He's never said that before, except this time because it's for Israel. And that is the conservative mentality that I'm talking about. I know he's not the conservative leader. He's not technically part of the Conservative Party, but he basically is speaking. He's basically expressing that view.
Solution. I am saying that this is a performative, BS, weak-willed, mealy-mouthed, visionless, cynical decision that I refuse to co-sign in any way.
Like, look how angry he is over this. Like, he acting like he got shot or something. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're never going to fix Canada with a Conservative Party that cries Israel talking points and doesn't give a shit about what's happening in Canada. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Erasure of a high trust society. That's what they're talking about, the egg thief. It never ends. But yeah, this is Ben Mulrooney. His temple is about to burst. He got the shekels in the mail. All right. So here's another a lot of the Alberta influencers they get all offended. I don't know why. Alberta is going to shit. It's being overrun, and they're worried about Israel. So weird. So here's salty Albertan. If I self-deport, renounce Canada, become a refugee, come back to Canada, identify as a man that loves Palestine, will my government treat me better? So basically, she's basically mad at the Palestinians because she thinks the Canadian government's treating them. But Israel bombs and kills Palestinians back to the Stone Age. Palestinian refugees come to Canada, but conservative commentators get angry at refugees instead of the demons who are bombing them. It makes sense. It doesn't make sense. But they want the shekels, I guess. Got to take those shekels. Ostrich Holocaust underway in BC. Poor ostriches. It's not looking good for the ostriches. All right. This guy's trying to tell us what a Canadian is. And this is the Indians. They like to tell you what Canadians are. Let's see what he says. He's basically saying, you can't send us back.
All the immigrants back. Who are we sending back? What criteria are we following? Are we sending back all the recent immigrants or are we sending back all the immigrants? All I know is if all the immigrants are going back, it's not just blacks and browns. There's going to be a surge in European travel too. But in the end,
the CCP
See, they like to tell us about our country, but we'll send him too. He's definitely going back. The minute they get their passport, they act like they're experts in Canadian history. It's kind of ridiculous. Here's a good thing on Dominion Society, birthright citizenship abuse. Conservative Party hasn't said anything about this. It's definitely being abused. And I say that as a son of immigrants. Like, I might have had to go through a citizen approval process, which I wouldn't have had a problem with. But my parents weren't illegal immigrants. They were legal immigrants. And what else? Yeah, a lot of people will come in time their pregnancy. They'll come to Canada on a visitor, like a tourist visa, and then they'll time their pregnancy and just hang out in Canada and then they pop out the baby and the baby's Canadian. That can't. That's got to be stopped. Fuck that. Because it's totally getting abused. I've heard like maternity wards in certain communities, like literally it's all tourist births. Literally all of them. From India, of course. They know how to scam the system. Okay, this post is cool. This is about Africa, because we are importing a lot of Africans. In my opinion, with the Africans, like, because there's tons of African countries, like Sudan's in big problem, has big problems right now. Somalia, as usual. And who knows when the next disaster will unfold in Africa. But it's such a different culture, and I think the last thing we need to do is bring large amounts of them here. Like, I think they're better off in Africa, and hopefully avoid like dying in Africa. But this guy goes to this guy was saying, this is what I'm talking about, is the culture. It's like, you're going to bring it here. He's been to 27 sub-Saharan countries, and he says every one of the cities he was in all those countries were basically just full of garbage, sewage, electricity cuts all the time, no clean water. Not just in, like, literally every city in Africa. So it's a cultural thing. They gotta, like, the last thing we need to do is import that here. I thought that was an interesting post. Look at it. Oh. Okay. Next. But this is what I'm talking about here. Canadian Sporting Arms and Ammunition Association, forcing people to hand over their guns. Isn't a voluntary program. Prime Minister Carney says his gun program is voluntary, not according to the options at hand. So yeah, they're trying to take guns from people. Instead of saying, like, the Conservatives, they're fighting it a little, but instead of fake Conservatives should be fighting like hell against gun grabs, third world invasions, and the BS hate speech laws, but instead we get Israel as our greatest ally. So that's a big issue. We're screwed with these Conservatives. Alright, what else here? This is a good post. See, this Indian fatigue's hitting in the States big time. I thought it was just Canada, but this is what's happening across the entire world right now. They are deliberately importing hundreds of millions of aggressive, low IQ third worlders to attack first world people, especially women. Your government is murdering you on purpose. It's not a silly accident or a mistake. This image is currently trending on Japanese Twitter. Yeah, Japan's taking a bunch of Indians and Africans. I wonder. It's crazy. Japan. And then here's the... I don't like this, what they're doing with the rivers. Oh my God. We gotta ban that. Okay. Here in England, they're getting pizza. They arrive, all these military-age guys. It's the last thing you need in the country is millions of military-age single dudes. And they're giving them pizza. Canada won't be long before we're like that. Okay. Here's another thing. I don't know where this one. Liberals push bill to let Canada post open mail. Who knows? Commies. I think that might be with the new hate speech one. Who knows? It's such a vague law. Anyway, that's it for today. But yeah, so basically, is it Sarnia going to be full of... If we're going to have any more incidents at the high school? We'll find it. This isn't too long ago, actually. There was a sexual assault downtown of a 16-year-old girl. So hopefully we're not seeing a trend here. So we'll see. Is Sarnia going to turn into a third world shithole? We'll find out. And then see the Conservatives. Who's going to replace the Conservatives? Because they're not going to stand up for Canada, I'll tell you that. If they don't, someone else is going to step up. Someone a little more aggressive is going to stand up. Like you've seen in the UK, the Conservative Party's gone. And this I'm really worried about this hate speech thing because it looks like it's going to pass. And then they'll go after the online community. We'll see. So, anyway, that's it for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. It's September 23rd tomorrow, and see what happens tomorrow. Until then, have a nice night.